Hi, it's Kevin May, the Editor-in-Chief of PhocusWire, joined by Glenn Fogel, CEO and President of Booking Holdings. Thank you very much for joining us in our PhocusWire studio.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Right, nearly 2 years now. 2-year anniversary is
January 1.
January 1, as the big enchilada of Booking Holdings, as it were. What do you say is two parts? First part, what has surprised you about the role that you took on?
That's a good question that I haven't thought about much.
Okay, that's why we don't give you the questions
right,
in
exactly.
advance.
That's very smart. Very well done. Here's something that absolutely. So I had the benefit of seeing one of the greatest CEOs of the first part of the last decade, and it went all the way through almost to when I took this job, Jeff Boyd. Mm-hmm. And Jeff made it seem very easy. Mm-hmm. And it turns out, that probably was just like a good face. There's a lot of things you have to deal with a lot of times, and stuff that really you have no control over, but you've got to deal with it that you weren't even expecting to come up. Okay. And that's something that I knew that would happen, but you don't really know until it actually happens.
So you were obviously very close to Jeff. I mean, right-hand man.
Right,
almost,
exactly. And it seemed so easy.
So, may I ask what some of those may
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. If a government makes a sudden change and you had no warning about that governmental change, you've got to react immediately to it, something like that. Or something in terms of a human resource issue comes up that you had not expected, that you've got to deal with relatively quickly. And sometimes there are issues that there's no clear answer. Sometimes there's a clear answer. Sometimes, you just have to choose which of the options you're going to take, and they have pros and cons against both, and you have to make your decision. But it's harder because now you're the person making the decision. Where in the past, when I'd give Jeff, I'd say, I think we should do this. It was my advice, and it was pretty easy to say, I advise this. Now, when you're actually making the decision, there seems to be a little tilt in it.
But you enjoy it, right?
I do like it.
Okay, right. Well, that's good. Now we can move on. So,
okay.
Second, but you were the M&A guy.
Yes.
In inverted commas. I think maybe that was something us in the media just drummed up. You became the M&A guy at Priceline Group.
I was the corporate development head, so I did do that, and with a lot of other people who did very good jobs.
First part, then, one, do you miss that? Because that's where you just got to look at lots of new businesses. And second part to that, what do you see in the market that kind of maybe excites you as an executive, but also excites you as the head of this enormous organization?
So let's just talk about the first one. Part of the M&A job that I liked a lot, and I don't really miss it because I'm still involved when there are big deals. It comes up to me to talk about and understand. So I still get the pleasure of the analysis, of understanding what we need to do, coming up with a strategy. I still, it's obviously being done by Todd Henrich, who runs our global corporate development effort, but I do still get to play. I get to go on the field occasionally and play. I still get to be the quarterback for U.S. football. But here's the thing that about it is that seeing the entire company is actually more fun, and all the elements instead of just the M&A aspect of it, and really getting involved in all aspects of how the business can be progressed from where we are today to where we're going to be. And that's more than just M&A, of course.
Of course. Okay, the second part was, what do you see in the market that kind of either interests you or you think that's something that we at Booking Holdings should be keeping an eye on?
So what I like is actually what we're doing. What we're doing right now that I find so exciting, and what's really helping us move from where we were to where we're going to be. Mm-hmm. So let's take a couple of these elements.
Okay.
Certainly one thing that is exciting is the growth in our homes department, our homes area. That is an exciting area because we see that we're providing choice to our consumers. Our travelers that come on, they're not sure what they really want yet. I don't necessarily know what I want when I go look what are we going to buy. Mm-hmm. We're going on a family trip. We're thinking home, apartment. It's nice to see it all on one page. That's the way we do it, and I think it's an advantage. I also like the fact that we've built a model where you don't have to go back and forth with a host and then find out whether or not they're going to let you rent their place or not. I find that an annoying thing. We don't do that. I like the fact that our model, you don't hit somebody with a fee at the end of the day. You go through the whole thing. Oh, look, there's a traveler's fee. Well, that's annoying. We don't do that. I like that. I think that's why our business is growing very, very nicely in that area. Second thing is the whole area of experience. And we've talked about this, and I've talked about that.
Yeah. So this is one of my questions. I mean, you kind of waited a while. I mean, with the experiences thing, I remember Booking.com launched something in Amsterdam, and then it was slowly spread out into different cities. But then this year, you've kind of planted your stake in the ground a little bit and said, okay, let's buy a software company that's going to help us do this. Mm-hmm. What was the strategy that made you think, okay, we can do it piecemeal and go city by city, or we can just do the fair harbor?
So, we're always looking at how you're going to build the business, and organic growth is one way to do it. Build it yourself. And there's also go out and acquire something, and will that accelerate what you're trying to achieve or not?
So it's a scale up question.
Exactly. And the question is, if you go out and you buy something, the question is it the right management team? Is the DNA right? Is it going to fit together well? Are those our kind of people, right? Then we think about, is the technology great? Is it something that would take us a real long time to build on our own? And these guys have already built it. Then there's value. Is it priced appropriately or not? Whole bunch of factors go in. That's how you make a decision. Buy or build. And that one we decided, let's do both. We're building because Fair Harbor is not just the only way that we're doing experiences, or are we going, the other way? So we're doing a multi-prong approach. And we're gonna, I think, in the end up better off for that. And I see you're looking quizzical. You're like, why? What am I talking about?
I'm just thinking of my next question.
Are you? Because
it's related to this.
So, for example, let's take rental car, for example.
Yeah.
Because ground transportation is an experience in our thinking. When you decide on a trip, you're going to go to a hotel, that's great. How are you going to get to the hotel from the airport? How are you going to get from home to the airport? And once you're there, what are you going to do? How are you going to get around and everything? That's ground transportation. Our rental car organization thought that's an important thing. So they've expanded beyond just rental car, and we merged that into Booking.com now, and they're building out all the different ways you can get around in terms of once you're there, what kind of transportation.
Rideways was wonderful.
Rideways is that, exactly. Yeah. So that's an organic growth.
Tell me, what was the last thing that the group built?
Last thing we built?
The last thing that you built that really helped you scale up rather than having to buy it?
Everything, every day we're building something every day.
Test and learn, and I understand all that, but what was the last thing you actually built rather than buy?
I'll say that one's a nice one right there, is a good example of the rideways things.
Okay.
Another thing, Priceline
that was out of the original Travel Jigsaw business, right?
Well, Travel Jigsaw became rental car, correct. Yeah. Right, and then but that was 2010. I think at that point
you said, yeah,
exactly, right. That's a long time ago. I think another example would be Priceline.com has a new package product that's pretty exciting. I like that. Okay. That was a thing. That was a lot of effort, a lot of work went into that one. Mm-hmm. It's just being rolled out. I'm pretty excited the way people use it, and that people seem to be liking it. That's good. Mm-hmm. Those are the two most recent big projects.
Okay. Shifting, if we can, for a second, Glenn. So you guys spend a lot of money with a company that begins with G. A lot of money.
We do spend a lot of money with them.
Do you sense that there will come a time when you start getting difficult questions, whether it's internally or whether it's from your friends on Wall Street, about the level of money that you have to spend with them, and there will become a decision point that you have to think of another way or scale it back or something like that?
So, generally we have a couple answers. That question comes up not infrequently.
Every earnings call.
Pretty much so. So here's how we usually want to talk about it. First of all, we don't like to single out any one particular performance advertising platform. But so we talk regarding all of them. We're always trying to measure, is this the right spend or not? And how do we do that? Well, the first thing is, what's the ROI on that spend right now, right away? Then you think, is this traffic that's coming to us, the incrementality, is this the right level of incrementality versus other ways we could do it? Yeah. And then you start thinking about, what about the repeat? The person who came from there, is that someone's going to repeat? And are they going to repeat direct, or are they not going to repeat direct? Mm-hmm. And here comes up a really important one, is how is that platform treating us? Are they a good partner? We're working together symbiotically, so we're both going to be better off. Or is this a partner who actually, they're using the money you spend with them to try and take away your business?
So what's your answer to that last question then?
When that happens, we have to lean back. We have to lean away. Okay. And sometimes we have to lean away pretty far. And then if people are more cooperative, we lean forward and we'll buy in. Mm-hmm. I always want to make sure everyone's aware of this, and that's why I repeat this actually I say it almost the same time every earnings call, because I don't want people to forget that there are a lot of choices for how we're going to spend our money. And if somebody is doing something that we think is bad for the long-term experience of our customers, that the experience when they are going through that path is not good, we're not going to spend a lot of money with them.
Been very firm on that again.
Oh yeah.
I think we understand exactly what you're saying. So I'm just thinking of the time here. So go a couple more. You bought a few Meta brands.
We haven't closed. Yeah, we got hotels combined. We haven't closed yet, but hopefully soon. Hopefully.
What's the strategy around buying Meta brands? Is it just because you want to own that part of the funnel in as many markets as you can?
So one thing is there's a benefit to scale and consolidation, that when you buy another one, you can achieve a good return because you have the customers coming in, but you can have just one back end. And that can achieve synergies that actually produce a nice return on that. But more important is, I always say we want to come up with a system that's so great that people come to us direct every single time. That's the big goal. Here's the truth though, not everybody's going to do that. Some people, they just want to use a Meta. That's what they want. We're not going to be able to convince them otherwise. We should have that product that they want, and that's creating the best Meta in the world, and that's why we go out and we bought a bunch of them.
Okay. I interviewed Skyscanner this morning on stage here, and they've made a fairly sized bet on MetaBook, as we call it, or facilitated booking or direct booking through the Meta model. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
I think that if it works for them, it's great. Look, we're always believed that...
Kind tried it with some bits and pieces in the past. But
right. So our thing always is let the data decide. And if something's working well, do more of it. If something's not working so well, pull it back. You know, we talked, you mentioned a little quickly about, we do a lot of experimentation. We do over 1,000 A/B tests every day. We use data to make that decision, not somebody's opinion. So in terms of assisted booking or any of those paths or whatever thing we're going to do, we're always going to just test it and see what's the best way to go. If it's working for somebody else, that's great for them. And maybe we'll say, gee, if it's working for them, maybe we got to relook at it and test again. And maybe it's just a different way to do it. But we're not going to do something just because somebody does or because somebody doesn't do it.
Yeah, okay. And we're getting to the end now. So about the theme here this week, which is the power paradox. And then an element of that is that the powerful can still be disrupted. It's not, the startups shouldn't be waving the white flag just because Booking Holdings is this multi-billion-dollar company and it can make strategic acquisitions to carry on going in.
I don't see that happening.
Well, what is it? Do you think? Well, you just said there's no white flags being waved, but
no.
What is it that kind of keeps you up at night? I know it's a very cliched question, but from the emerging stuff, not from your direct competitors, not from Google, not from what Airbnb is saying about you and all those kind of things.
Right.
What is it a kind of a startup new technology level that kind of makes you think, we should keep an eye on that?
Well, there are lots of technologies that we do keep track of all the time. Anything new, we do keep an eye on it because, let's face it, people eventually do get disrupted, and generally it's because they got sleepy and they weren't paying attention, or they lost their edge, or they became a little bit, as you just said, oh, we're so big, everybody else should just give up. It's complacency.
Yep.
It's a bit of arrogance, hubris, whatever you want to call it. That's one thing. I always want to make sure, guard against that, make sure people understand that there are a lot of companies that were really great, really, really, really great, and they disappeared really fast. Tell me, do you ever hear anybody uses Yahoo anymore? Ever? I mean, there's so many. But let's go with something else that's not digital. I just had coming up here, I was reading about GE and what's happened to their bonds have dropped tremendously. Forget about the stocks of this, whatever, 12-year low.
There's Blockbuster, there's,
there's so many
brands.
We can come up with a lot of things that disappeared. And then you try and think, well, what went wrong there? And how can we avoid that type of a trap? And that's what keeps me up, trying to think, where did they go wrong? And what should we do so we don't go wrong? And part of it really is maintaining that openness that things change. If we just stayed being this great desktop-only company, we'd be long gone. Mobile was coming in and we had our eye on it. So we started investing in it. We started building out all the tools so we can have a good mobile experience. Now everybody wants to do mobile. We talked about approximately 50% of our accommodations are coming from mobile devices, and it's going to be more, I'm certain. Now, the next thing is everybody said, okay, I'm a mobile first company. They said that years ago, right? Now everybody says, I'm an AI first company. Everybody's saying that, right?
What are you a first company then? If someone...
Where we are absolutely aware that we need to spend in new technologies like AI that really will be a game changer because of the way it transforms the way we do our business. And I've talked about this in the past. Travel is still frustrating. It's gotten a lot better than it was.
You're not one of these guys that says travel is broken all the time, though, are you?
Well, when it comes out, I don't say, like saying it's broken kind of play is like it broke.
Yeah.
Travel has always been a difficult thing. It continues to get better and easier all the time, but it's nowhere near where we'd like it to be.
So we just looked at technology that's coming from the ground up, almost, to use that kind of phrase. But what about threats that may be above you? And the one that's getting bandied around a lot this year has been, people have started talking about Amazon again. And yes, I know you're probably going to say they've tried this before.
No, I won't say that.
But
though they have.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't going to say that.
but I mean, what do you sense they are going to do? Are they just watching and learning, or what?
Look, here's the thing. We're a big company.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of companies that are a heck of a lot bigger than us.
Yep.
Who have a lot more money than we have. Who have a lot more engineers than we have.
Yep.
If they were to want to dedicate all their resources into our space, that certainly will create a more competitive environment, and I'm just stating the obvious. The question is, though, how much would that be the right use of their time, energy, effort, money, resources, or not?
If they do it, they need to do it big.
I mean, they can do it small, they can do big. Let's not pick on Amazon here. Let's think. There are a lot of big players out there who can do lots of things. And we've always faced that. We used to be a lot smaller, and there were other people who are really big and that stuff. And we were able to build up and become very successful. So no doubt there are people who are really big can do that too.
Okay. Glenn Fogel, pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us here. Thank you.
Thank you.